Welcome to Rhythmic Talk. I'm your host, Justin Kantor. At age 14, Glenn Scarpelli achieved official teen heartthrob status in his role as Alex on the long-running sitcom One Day at a Time. He had already performed on Broadway, had an Archie comic strip character named after him, starred in an independent horror flick, and been a part of the so-called Bloodhound Gang on PBS's educational show 321 Contact. Be sure to check out both parts 1 and 2 of Glenn Scarpelli on Rhythmic Talk with Justin Kantor on BlogTalkRadio. Hey Glenn, it's Justin.
Hey Justin, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How's your day going?
Things are good. Kind of crazy, busy like usual, but all is good in the world.
Well, that's good to hear. You always seem to have a positive outlook, for the most part when I see you on Facebook, so that certainly helps things.
For the most part.
Yeah. I know, you can't control everything, so.
You can't control everything, and sometimes our emotions get the best of us,
That's true. That's what makes it life. Well, I'm real happy that, you have the time to call and that we can chat some, about
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, but it's great what you're doing, and I guess I kind of wanted to just start from the beginning and talk about you're from Staten Island originally, right?
Yeah, Staten Island, New York, born and raised.
Mm-hmm. And from what I understand, you went to Catholic school most of your childhood?
Yes, I went to Catholic school. St. Joseph Hill Academy was the school that I went to. I pretty much grammar school is what I went to Catholic school. And it was interesting because I started acting when I got my first professional job when I was like 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I did a Celeste frozen pizza commercial.
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
that was the first thing I ever did. I ate 27 pieces of pizza and I puked all night.
Yeah, that'll probably do you in.
It'll do you in. But I was a kid and I was like having so much fun. I thought it was cool.
So you learned like early on the sacrifices you make to be an actor.
Right, the things we must do.
Well, and when you started the acting in those movies like that one, kind of ones that you did in New York still?
Yeah, most of the stuff I did in New York were stage and film.
Okay.
I didn't do very much TV. I did a TV pilot in New York once with Ethel Merman.
Oh.
She started, and it didn't get picked up, believe it or not. I thought it was a surefire hit, but she was the star of the show. I did a pilot. So I didn't do much TV in New York. Really, it was when I got to Los Angeles that, the whole TV world opened up.
I think with one exception, unless I'm incorrect, which I have to mention, which was 321 Contact.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
the Bloodhound Gang.
That was all New York, yes.
That, I watched one of the segments, when I was preparing for the interview, and it was about, there was like some mystery going on that you guys were looking for to, everybody, was running around and you were detecting like the license plates must be rental cars because they all said VIP with a different number on them.
You are literally talking to me, and I have no recollection of any of that.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if you would.
It's so funny. I would have to watch it again to even remember. But it's so funny you mention that because I'm saying I didn't do any TV, and then there was that 321 Contact, of course.
Yeah.
So you see what happens when you get old?
Well, that was pretty popular.
You lose it.
That was a pretty popular show when I was growing up. I mean, I remember on PBS, like...
In fact, part of my transition into One Day at a Time was they had to get me out of my 321 Contact contract.
Okay.
And I remember my manager at that point in New York didn't have too much to do with One Day at a Time. She didn't get me the part or nothing.
Really? Okay. Was it like scouts that came out and saw you in New York or something?
Well, getting that part was an interesting story. I had done a pilot in Los Angeles when I was about 10, 11 years old. Mm-hmm. And the pilot was called Jump Street. Oh. And it didn't get picked up. It wasn't 21 Jump Street.
Right, yeah, I figured. It was a little before that.
Everybody thinks it's that, but it was not. It was a whole different thing. But one of the stars of that played my brother is a guy by the name of Scott Columby.
Okay.
And Scott was fight my brother, and the producers say, hey, you guys should hang out and go to dinner and stuff so that you get to know each other, so you have this brotherly kind of chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And so he asked my mom, he said, I'm going to take my girlfriend and I will come pick him up. Can I, take Glenn out to dinner and we'll just hang out? And my parents were thrilled because they were going to get a night off from me.
Yeah.
So they said, sure. And we were at the hotel, and Scott pulls up with his girlfriend, and who is his girlfriend but Valerie Bertinelli?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's who he was dating. He never mentioned it, and she was a huge fucking star by that point.
Okay.
And I was just like, holy shit. So we became friends. I became friends with Val back then when I was like 11 years old. And then I did Richard III on Broadway back in New York. So I went back. I wasn't living in LA at that time. I just went out there for 1 week to shoot this pilot. And then I went back to New York to do this Broadway show, blah, blah, blah. And Valerie was in New York doing, she guest starred on $100,000 Pyramid. Remember that show?
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it. I think I've seen clips of it.
Clips of it. I mean, it was one of those famous shows back then. It was a game show.
Yeah.
So she was coming to New York to do a game show, and they called and they said they wanted to come see Richard III, and they did, and I brought them backstage, and I introduced Valerie to Al Pacino, and it was really exciting as a kid going, Val.
Yeah, that's a real, like, dream come true.
It was so fun. So as we're walking out of the theater, she says to me, if there's anything I could ever do for you, let me know, Glenn. That was so exciting. Thank you so much. If there's anything I could ever do, let me know. Well, 2 years later, my mother's reading in TV Guide that Mackenzie Phillips is getting fired from One Day at a Time, and they're probably going to be adding a young boy this time. And I called Val, and I said, hey, can you get me an audition for this thing? She went, oh, my God, that would be great, of course. So she called the president of the company, and he flew to New York and read me, and that's how I got One Day at a Time.
Wow, that really that shows it really pays to have friends and just to make connections with people.
Who you know, baby.
Yeah, true.
And that's what it is. And there's so many talented people who never have opportunity.
Yeah.
It's really about opportunity, And yeah, I mean, like, granted, if I sucked, they still want to give me the part.
Right, yeah, of course, yeah.
I had audition with a whole bunch of other people, and they were certainly looking at other people, but the fact that Val opened that door for me was the reason I was able to get in.
I was going to ask you, was it, as far as doing the recording, was that, like, something that you wanted to do, like music, or was it kind of just, like, an outgrowth of you being, like, a teen heartthrob or pen-up, or how did that kind of, come together?
Well, the fact that there was all that, teen idol, teen Tiger Beat stuff, of course, made the album happen because, there was an audience there that they knew young girls, would probably buy the record and blah, blah, blah from all the teen idol stuff. And young boys, but they didn't say that to me out loud back then. So that was the thing. But as far as my interest, I had always wanted to record. I love to sing. I did a lot of musical theater. I've always been a singer. I've sung, from, Christmases at my grandmother's house to I performed at the White House for George H.W. Bush. So, I mean, I had been a singer most of my life, and I love it. So, yeah.
What occasion did you sing for him on?
Oh, I was asked to sing in the White House in 1989, something like that, late 80s. He had just become the president because Barbara Bush, his wife, loved One Day at a Time.
Well, that's cool.
It was her favorite show. Wow. And she adored Bonnie and the girls and all the stuff. So one day my agent called and said, hey, I'm going to put the White House on the line. They want to talk to you. And I was like, fuck you. You're bullshitting. What the hell are you talking about? And it was her office. And they said, we'd like to invite you to come out to sing for Easter at the White House. Wow. The First Lady is putting together a whole show on the front lawn of the White House, and it's going to involve kids for kids charity, and then there's going to be this huge Easter egg hunt. And because I was big with kids back then, I guess they invited me, and plus she loved the show. So
wow, so
that's how I got invited to the White House.